Welcome everyone. This is training an AutoML community call on 14th of May. This meeting will be recorded and published on YouTube, but this meeting is governed by the Kubeflow Code of Conduct. I think we usually start the call with a quick introduction. So do we have any new people who are on the call who just want to introduce themselves? Just want to say hello to the community. Or go ahead. Like, I think we can't hear you if you're talking. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. This is Raghu. I'm DevOps architect. So I'm showing interest in ML ops. So I would like to know about the, Kubeflow. That is one of my target to learn those things. So that's the reason why I'm joined this group recently, and would like to know more.
It's great. Have you used Kubeflow before, or just start to explore like what other projects?
It just start.
That's great. Welcome to the community.
Yep.
Would love to, get your help here.
Sure.
Anyone else want to say hello? All right, then let's get started. So I think like the most important thing we're going to talk about the release for Kubeflow Trainer 2.0. Let me maybe share my screen so I can quickly go over the items. Let's see. So I think first of all, before we start to do the release, like I want to quickly like remind everyone we're gonna have this Kubeflow Virtual Symposium hosting in July 7th. So I just want to like announce like this working group and also to other Kubeflow community members. So if you want to speak about Kubeflow, if you want to speak about a few use cases or how this project might be useful for you, so please submit the talk. This event will be hosted virtually and it's free to attend, so everyone can just register, everyone can just listen. But if you want to speak about Kubeflow or like how could be useful for you, we have this CFP which closes on May 27th. And feel free to submit your talk. We're looking for talks from end users, from contributors, from community members, to just give an updates. And so I think this is a great opportunity for us, in addition to KubeCon, to talk about Kubeflow. And CNCF has helping us to host this virtually, and everything will be published on YouTube. So if you have any questions, we have this Slack channels, like Kubeflow contributors, you can reach out, and you can also reach out to me directly if you have any follow-up questions. Yeah, go ahead, Magdi.
Yeah, hello. Is it possible for me to maybe share the progress of my GSOC project on this event? If I
Yeah, I
could,
think
for
that
example.
yeah. I think that would be awesome. Like I think sharing like even like your GSOC progress going on this event also can really help you to for exposure and explain people what you do. Yeah, so please submit your talk and about JAX and TensorFlow support within Trainer. I think it will be really interesting to talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, like it's similar to KubeCon, but it's like free to attend, and you kind of like it's fully virtual, so it doesn't matter like where you are in the world. So I think it's a great opportunity for, again, if you're a new contributor or if you're using Kubeflow for a very long time, to share like what you do today and like how we as a community can help you to get more involved. So please register, please submit the talk. We're looking forward to have more speakers there. All right, any questions for this virtual symposium? That's great. So then let me go over like release items so we can talk about what we have today. So I think we have a few things to the pending PRs we need to kind of cover, right? So this is, I think, like the tracking issues. So first of all, I just want to, talk maybe about the spot spec over SPR, right? So I think one of the changes we need to make is to address, Anthony, your suggestion to support patches, right? Rather than doing these overrides and do the using like the patches from IP dictionary package, right? So the question that I have, is there any chance someone could help me to drive it? Because like probably I don't have like enough bandwidth to do it like this week, but I just want to know if someone can volunteer to address this simple change, and maybe just take over this PR and so we can be prepared for the release.
What is needed, Andre?
Yeah, so I think the only need, I think that's similar to use SAT. Like we wanna, so right now what we do here, just for the context, we want to support podspec overrides API. Should let me
Full?
share. Sorry, go ahead.
Like the full API?
Yeah, just let me quickly explain this.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think the idea of podspec overrides is to provide user an ability to override default configuration for training runtimes that we don't support in train job. So one of the examples I have, I'll maybe quickly show you here, right? So the like rough idea of podspec overrides, it's some parameters that we have on the runtime. There is no way right now for users to override them. For example, like if we have some custom init containers or node selectors, there is no way for users to override it. So the thing is like about podspec overrides API is to provide a way for users to override some parameters like environment variables or node selectors. And this like the API is already there. Like the API is already implemented. The only changes that we need to do is to address, I guess, this comment, Antonian, right? To support, go ahead.
Use strategic batching.
It's more like functionally, I think it'd be good that we get a consensus there. Like how, the discussion basically, like to summarize it, it's at which point we apply the override. Does the override apply to the input of the train job, like basically the training runtime, and the override apply to that? And then the plugin does their job and add their own internal, etc. And the plugin, they are configured by some of the field from the train job API itself, actually. Or the override apply to the output of that process after the plugin logic run. So that's a question, and actually, well, it led to some implementation detail, but I don't think that's the main open point. Like we need to decide where in the process the override apply. From an end user standpoint, like.
Yeah, like this is what one of the discussion we have, right? So this is like our pipeline framework, how we structure the job sets, right, from train job. So we have like, we like user submits train job. We apply kind of multiple policies on top. Like we have this, the pipeline framework, which applies pod group policy, ML policy, pod network, right? So basically we kind of like all these plugins add additional spec on top of the default training runtime.
Yes, exactly.
And yeah, I think the question is here, do we want to apply podspec overrides after this pipeline, right? After the build phase?
Yeah, exactly. Before or after.
Yep.
That's the point.
I just have a question. Like, if we apply before, are we applying it to the direct input that we got from the user or the SDK? Then what is the benefit if we do that? And like the user can just like define their own, like change their own input without defining pod spec override. But if we need to write to kind of do the override maybe after we run through the plugin, as long as it's not going to have any conflict. But that could be the issue. Like,
in a nutshell, basically, if you do it before the build, you override what's coming from the training runtime. But you're not going to be able to override what comes after, what's added by the plugin. So the plugin, for example, one use case, Andre mentioned that the plugin can decide to add a container. Like it adds an entire container. Should the override apply to that added container? There are pros and cons. Obviously, I mean it's really powerful if the user can override everything as the output. But then my concern is that it does not have any a priori knowledge of what's being added by the plugin, like because it's really internal. Like so, basically, what will happen is that the user would just try to run it. The user would notice that there is a container like added. Maybe I can. Okay, that's great. I'm gonna override some of it because. But then it's completely internal. Like it's not. While if you apply it to training runtime are actually public visible configuration. I mean that they know the user can see it and see what they they can override. So that's the kind of like concern you see. And then there are other like subtle concern where, for example, some plugins, they are already configured by the train job API. There are some fields, for example, to override some environment variable. So if you apply the override after the build, you're unable to apply precedences on that. So you basically like intuitively, I would say the train job structured API should have precedence, but you cannot guarantee that because you don't know the source of the environment variable. You don't know if that's coming from the original training runtime, if that's coming from the environment variable field from where the plugin takes some extra environment variable, and then you're gonna apply some extra override after that. So I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, just a quick particular example, like MPI plugin today add the volume to add the config map, or sorry, add the host file and the secrets. So this volume we apply during the MPI plugin component builder.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, and like we don't have this in the training runtime. We just do this in the build phase. So my kind of personal opinion on this, that's the environment variables you're talking about, Antonio, we can solve this with validations. So for example, we can say we're not allowed for users to modify like pet environment variables, PyTorch Elastic Training, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine there are ways to, but your example is a good one. Like, would we want an user to override that internal machinery that the MPI plugin create? Would there really be something that we would be willing to allow, or I mean, even
Yeah. So my kind of personal perspective, we should not allow it because it's full internal, right? And we should kind of like just disable it on the on the validation part, right? And to say like if user accidentally, because by user here I mean, so postspec override just was designed for platform engineers. They're not like ML users at all. So it's kind of like some additional things which I'm pretty sure ML users don't know about if they're not really experienced for Kubernetes, right? But this gives platform engineers to maybe use this API as part of maybe admission control, right? As part of mutation webhook, or as part of internal implementation of SDK, right? Where they can add this, like modify the spec, right? So I kind of like expect for people who use this postspec override to know about internals for the pipeline framework.
Okay, so you'd be in favor that it applies to the output.
Yeah, I think it kind of gives more power, like, because I think the trick is there. If we do it before, we cannot even like modify, for example, volume that we apply right now for MPI plugin, right?
It's clear it's a lot more powerful, but with great power comes great responsibility, and sometimes you don't want to give that kind of power necessarily to anybody. But I get the point. Yes, Ad, please.
So
go ahead.
If it makes sense, I have a proposal. What if we allow our plugins to specify what cannot be changed or what can be changed, and then we allow the edit to happen or the override to happen after to the output, and then the plugin can specify if you mess with this configuration, you're going to mess with the integrity of the plugin itself. So that's not allowed. So it would ignore these values, and maybe there is a warning or something. And if you want to change anything else, go ahead. That's what you can do. Like, I'm not sure if this is applicable or that's like nonsense.
No, absolutely not. Like I could see that it's a great refinement over what we are going to be doing there. I would say it may not be like a must-have. What you've described, it makes sense and it would be useful. I would say for V2, because we would want to have that for V2. If we were to do it pre-plugin, that would be very easy because basically what your PR, Andre, would be doing in what would be needed. But then if we do it after the plugin, there is a little bit of I would say how could I say, like complexity to the no, not necessarily risk. I mean, if we agree that it's better, that it's really a powerful solution, like they can override, it's fine. It's more like the back and forth that's needed to compute the patch. It's a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think it's a good point actually. Antonio. Like maybe we should start to do it pre-plugin and then open an issue and get a
That's an option.
feedback, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
to me it's a
Mhm.
tactical path. We can do it for V2 for the first release. We say,
like,
okay,
yes.
it's okay, it's there, and your PR I think is pretty much there are only something to move a bit of logic to move pre plugin, but
Yeah.
then say open an issue and we'll do the work to move to the final solution where everything can be overridden.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind, and I'm sorry for this question. So, like, with that, if the user provide the put-spec override, what is the difference between that and just adding these attributes to the main train job? Is there a way to add that to the main train job, or it's not available at the moment in the API?
Put-spec override is a part of train job API. The difference is like train job API doesn't have all of the knobs user can change, right? Because if you take a look like maybe API.
Yeah, makes sense then. Thank you.
Yeah, it also can only have trainer, trainer and install. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I also have a question. If you said before that the override spec is designed for the platform engineer, so when we decide to use the override spec, we need to create a change of YAML and apply it to the cluster. So if users need to mutate some of the configurations like the model and the data sets in this scenario, how can they mutate directly through the way that changes the YAML file?
Yeah, so so it can be done a different way, right? Like one of the ways is to define your custom webhook, custom mutation webhook, which actually when user use SDK append additional values to this, to the put-spec override, right? So it's like in-house, imagine you have like in-house webhook, which changes put-spec override API. So this is the one way how you can do this. Like another
If
way
we
is,
design,
good.
If we design if we design a webhook, then how does it function?
So this webhook could be maintained not by us. For example, the users of the end users of trainer can define their own custom webhook, which actually added additional mutation on top of what user submits, right? So user create a simple train job using SDK, right, for example, and then your custom in-house webhook append the values to the put-spec overrides. So this is like one of the examples, like it. Like another use case could be you create subclass for SDK, like internal subclass, which will add some values based on the properties, right? You can also have your own custom REST API server, so, for example, like UI, right, which also like appends these values, right? So there are multiple ways how people can use this API, right?
Yeah, is that so? We need to create a webhook for train job, and the user apply a simple train job to the cluster, and we mutate them for a new train job and integrate it with the cluster runtime and generate a job set. Do I understand correctly? Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, so I know we need to move on. So I guess like in that case, I can move it before plugins for now, and I can open the issue to discuss it, get the user feedback. My only question for this suggestion around using the patch, right? Do we need to do it like in this PR? What do we think? Using the strategic merge, what is it like the
strategic merge patch?
Yeah, strategic merge patch, right?
If you want some help, I can do it on top of your PR if you prefer. I can do that.
Yeah, I think if you have time, Antonio, that was super helpful. Like to just because it's like not really hard, right, to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for helping. And can you directly commit to my branch? I think you can, right? It's what?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In case I will just give you permission to just push directly to the branch. Okay. Yeah, I think this. Yeah, thank you so much. And I think after this we can move it to pre-plugin, and I will open an issue to discuss.
Sounds good.
Also, a quick question. When will we release the Kubeflow trainer v2. I realized that when in the before we said we'll release it in the May 5th. So what's the new date for us?
Yeah, so sorry about it. Like, I guess like the thing is like the main maintainers was out of office, and Yuki was not here, and so I didn't get a chance to review the majority of your PR show. So I think as long as we
Yeah.
finish it, like this week, or sometime next week, I can do the release. Even like some of the PRs we can move to the 2.0, 2.1. So my
Yeah.
question is like, what are the mandatory PRs we need to merge ASAP from your point?
The main PR are listed in the milestone, including the PR over for the spec override PR and the manifest PR validated by Xinmin and some PRs related to LM trainer v2.
Can you link them to the issue quickly, or to the meeting notes?
It's already in the milestone.
Oh, okay, okay. So which one are we talking about?
Yeah, over this or the no,
So let's maybe quickly go through like the easiest one, right? Like, so okay, installation for Kubeflow platform, right? I guess like the painting item is there, like we can merge it, but we will get problems with the role bindings, like the one that I asked to address, right? Have you, Shao, have you got the chance to like review my latest comments about it?
yeah, I will read soon.
So what is your perspective on this? Like, what we should do there?
What do you mean about that? Do you ask me if they can be merged?
Yeah, so
Or
I
other
think
things?
yeah, I think my question was like, like today, because cluster training runtime is a cluster scope resource, because we
Yeah.
kind of like add this to the role binding, this probably just won't be supported because like the user cannot use this role binding, right, to access cluster training runtime in the Kubeflow notebook. So my question is, are we okay to move forward to that, to include this in the platform, or we should address it? Like, this is my only question.
Okay. So have a review for that. I will review your latest comment soon after the
Okay.
meeting. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I know Julius also commented, and I guess my question is like, do they support? I'm not sure about profile controller like details, but do they support cluster role binding as well, right? So this I think what we need to figure out, right?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anything else? So I guess for LM trainer work, right? So okay, LM trainer. Let's maybe discuss it after. So other things, other small PRs that we need to get merged before the release.
I think have two PRs to be merged. The one is support mutating data SDK, and another one is load local LMs. That's two.
But this is related to LM trainer, right? Like the work you're doing for TorchTune, right?
Yeah.
So outside of this, like Epic, like this big issue, like any other small PRs we need to merge? We need to merge.
I will check them.
Okay. Yeah. So do you have hands up?
Yeah,
sorry.
I will list it in the milestone if that needs to be merged, and going with another agent items.
Okay. So so do you have a question?
Yeah, like it's actually the next item I guess on the list, which is like there is an issue. I'm not sure if it should be part of the release. Not this one. I don't know, where did it go? There was a question about like releasing the Pythonic models to be part of the release, so it would get the tag of V2 trainer.
Yeah, so
Like, remember
Mike,
we did a PR.
yeah. So do we really need Pipey package for this? Like maybe for now we can just use the GitHub and the tag,
Yeah.
right? To
We
just get
can,
them,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Okay, cool. Well, if we're getting it from GitHub, that's fine. Then we don't have to do anything.
Yeah, we can do this in 2.1, right? To publish to the Pipey, right? This model, like the Python modules, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, so for the trainer, like Shao, like what are the like what are the pending items for us that we need to do before we can do the release?
The KP 2401 for loading global LMs and another PR like for mutating the dataset process configuration. Yeah, so yeah, this. And another PR is the PVC check, which is which was held by the at the previous existing check for touch-tune runtimes.
Okay.
Yes.
So these three PRs,
which was
right?
held by the held by the Yuki.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like I think yeah, I think that's right. So I think Yuki wants to kind of limit right now, maybe don't do a lot of changes in the controller, but only add this in documentation. So PVC needs to exist, right? For users can use your TorchTune runtimes, right?
Yes. Users need to check the PVC. You need to create the PVC before they apply the touch-tune training train job related to touch-tune, or they will get some errors when they start the job. So I think it may be necessary for us. At least it can reduce some errors.
Yeah. So let me ping Yuki after this call, and I will ask him if we can move forward. Otherwise, we can just limit ourselves to documentation, and then in 2.1 we can add this to the like to the validation webhook for now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So any other? So okay, it's loads LLMs, right? So this PR you're talking about, right? And also this one, right?
Yes, this one.
Any other PRs pending for LLM runtimes, for TorchTune runtimes?
No, not yet. No other PRs yet.
So if we merge three of these, what are the pending PRs before we can, have the fully functional feature?
No other PRs. I will have a end-to-end test for the trainer V2 after this PR get merged, and maybe some small fix.
So all of these LoRa configurations and other parameters from TorchTune we will support in the next release, right?
Yes, we can release in the minor release like 2.0.1. So it will not block the V2 release.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, so I think like for this, do we have anyone here, Nicole, who can help to review this, I guess, two PRs, the 2644 and also 2638, right?
I took a look at which was the local mode I think you showed was the first one.
No, it's local LLMs, I guess. Shao, can you give a bit of maybe context about why it's required?
Yes. Before we use the TorchTune to tune the LMs, we need to download it from the Hugging Face or other resource.
Yeah.
Currently, we only support download the models from Hugging Face using model initializer and dataset initializer. However, it will be downloaded to a certain path like /model /workspace /model. So and we need to specify this path to the models for the TorchTune. Yeah.
I see.
I'm actually curious, Shao, like since we don't support stateful job sets today, maybe we should reconsider using initializer for first release.
Yes,
Because
we
like
will use the
mhm.
initializer. We will use the model initializer and the dataset initializer for downloading datasets and the model initializer and models.
No, I think my question is like, since we don't support stateful job sets today, right? We cannot orchestrate PVCs, right? As part of job set controller.
Yes. So the PVC will be created by the users. So that's what's so that's why I think the PVC check is necessary.
Yeah, I understand. Like my question is like, can we for now don't use initializer at all? Can we just download the sets? Yeah, good.
Use the data sets. What do you mean?
So I think so my question is like, so PVC is required only for multi-node, right? Because for single node, you can actually use empty dir, right? You can use a local, like basically like, you know, the same volume, the same host, right? Like to share like the data set between the nodes, the initializer and the nodes, right?
Yeah, but the empty directory will be deleted after the pod is deleted.
Yeah.
Right.
So my question is like, so TorchTune, like it does support downloading data, right? Like I think you can do using the tune. What is it? The TorchTune supporting downloading the data.
Yes, it's only for some kind of datasets, such as Opaka.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
but so limited.
But if we allow users to add any like instruction data set, is it going to work? Like, or it
we
also
need to specify the configuration for the dataset, such as the path to the downloaded paths. So I think the initializer and the PVC is necessary.
But if we
need also to export the model to the PVC, some PVC path, or the fine-tuned output will be deleted after the pod is deleted.
Yeah, you mean checkpointing, right?
Yeah, so I think we need to use the PVC to store the output.
Yeah, see. So basically you're planning to store models for now in the PVC, right?
Yeah, so I think we need to check the PVC existence for users, rather than just write the notification in the doc.
Yeah,
user may not notice about that.
Yeah. One of the tricky part, I guess, like the PVC should support read-write many, right? So it should be some sort of EFS, you know, like NFS based PVC, right?
Yes.
I see. So yeah, I just was thinking about like, you know, for this initial support, yeah, maybe like, you know, if we don't use PVC, there will be no reason for user to just try this out, right? Because,
yes.
Yeah.
And in the future, we'll as the exporter for the TorchTune LM trainer, maybe export them to some data source like S3 and other storage, and also may integrate with the model registry.
Yeah, I understand it's all this. Like, I just thinking about like what we should do initially to just give, you know, like this feature to users to try out, right?
Yes,
because there are a lot of things. Yeah, we talk about. Like,
yes, I think initially we just need to export the model to the PVC, and the user can load the PVC and do the inference if they want.
Yeah, that's I actually believe that's exactly what we did. I can share this. I believe where I don't think I had shared this with you previously. Maybe I should have. My bad. I thought I did. I know I spoke to you about it. But
you mean in the KFP, how you integrate TorchTune with KFP, or
with Kubeflow Trainer and KFP, and using a locally downloaded model. And yeah, we used a PVC for this too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like as we discussed, like, you know, PVC gives a lot of complexity especially for users who just want to try this out. But I mean, yes, I understand, like, you know, right now we just don't have other alternatives, right? So it has to be exist, right? your cluster has to, maybe even if users cluster already have the, like the storage class, which can, automatically provision all the volumes for users, will be easier, but we definitely need to think about in the long term how to make it easier, right, to try this out.
Actually, that is the thing that we're discussing pretty heavily on the Red Hat side. We did add, I think, support even for the model registry within this. I just sent you into repo, Andre. This is probably something that we should probably talk about more. But this is an end-to-end fine tuning and synthetic data generation pipeline that Red Hat built called Instruct Lab, and it's built using the trainer. And so
I think just to remember everyone, the goal of the work that Xiao is doing is not like to allow people to use trainer for fine tuning, because we already have like working example for like a distillation model like DistillBird in upstream to use trainer for fine tuning. So the work that Xiao is doing is to how make it simpler for folks to use TorchTune library to have like no code fine tuning basically, right? You just use, because TorchTune has a set of recipes, so we can reuse them, and user doesn't even need to care about how to define a training loop, right? You just configure like the parameters which TorchTune allows you to adjust, right? Like basically one-click fine-tuning, we can call it, right?
That's similar in vein to exactly this project, except it had the layer on top with KFP.
I see. So do you use TorchTune as well there, Francisco?
No, we didn't use TorchTune.
Okay. Yeah, so let's follow up. I guess, like, I think, one-click fine-tuning is valuable. Like, we hear the feedback from users, like, sometimes they don't even need to worry about, like the, how to adjust, layers or how to configure the training loop, right? They just want a very quick experimentation, right? I want to take this model, I want to take this data set, and I want to get the results, right? That is why TorchTune became a little popular, right, these days, because people it's just work, right? So we are doing here, like, how we can port this technology to Kubernetes so people can get the power of distributed computing, right, and orchestration, right? But we really need to think about, the additional complexity coming in, right? With PVCs, with volumes, with device placement and other things, right? I just want us to think about, like, how we can make it easier to use this feature, right?
I think the most efficient way is to support the stateful job set soon. Maybe in the next release, we'll support the stateful set jobs, and I will work on it. Hopefully, I can finish it before the next release.
Definitely.
In the job set.
Right.
That's the most efficient way. Go.
And this PR, this PR is required for us to support multiple data sets to be configured by users, right?
Yes.
And this requires DK changes, right? Instruct data set. Like, okay, so maybe it will be helpful, like, if someone can again take a look in 2638 and also the 2644. I will ping Yuki about this comment around this, the 2631, right? Okay. Because I think, like, so SDK changes may be high priority because we need to migrate SDK to new repo, right? So maybe as a first priority, review this, the 2638.
I took an initial look, and I will take a more detailed look, maybe try it out myself and see if everything is good to go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Seth. I will also try to take a look into today, tomorrow for these 3 pairs, right? Okay, any other things for the release that we're missing? All right, so then I guess let's try to, we have these 4 pending, actually 5 pending PRs, review them. And we can, I think, try to make the release, sometime, like, this month, this week or like early next week. All right, so go next. So for local execution cap, Yeah, sorry, like I know you kind of really asking, it's been there for like a long time, and we really need to take a look. So is there any kind of timeline you have in mind for this feature? I know we've been discussing we want to include local execution in first release of SDK, and I'm 100% support, to do this. But we need to kind of make sure we properly migrate SDK first, right? Maybe create, some testing around existing APIs, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when it comes to like a timeline for this, again, like as you said, the first release of the SDK would be nice to do this. And I was even thinking about like if we can add, I'll see with the team if we can just put a quick talk for the virtual event that you mentioned earlier about like local execution, maybe just like a good
Yeah.
segue to show that to the community. But it depends on if we can get the initial release of the SDK and our timelines. But let's see. So if anybody like take a look and just let me know what do you think about what's written in there, and then we'll take it from there. I'm happy to help with anything related to the SDK. I have a couple of people focused on SDK, and we can help with anything related to migration.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like so let me ask you a question. So for SDK migration, other than Xiao's PR for mutating dataset, like instruct dataset, any pending PRs we have right now to the master branch?
I don't
Before we
think
can-
I don't think really we have anything urgent that needs to go. There was a couple of PRs regarding local execution, but we can easily reopen them on the new repo. That should be fine.
Yeah, I remember like there was some PRs from Antonio around like this approved the arcs, right? For
Was it
China API.
V1?
No, it was
that was
V2 actually. And about the permission of the file, right? So do we think that we can do this in the new repo, like all this, pending work going on? I remember Antonio, like previously, you want to do some changes in SDK, right?
You mean the one we are doing on V1 or you?
No, it's actually V2 if you remember. So remember, like
Oh
you
yeah,
want to
I
do,
remember.
yeah.
The structured parameter, stuff like that one I closed it, and this one it's really on OpenShift, like if I remember it correctly, like because on OpenShift by default the container they are not running as root, and it caused an issue. I'm not sure. I mean that can wait. We can.
I think we should probably close it here and maybe open the niche in SDK repo so we can track it, right?
I'll close it. Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay. And then I think like once we merge the Xiao's PR, we can just, do the migration, and we also need to transfer the issues from China to the new repo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like go ahead.
No, I was just like I opened a PR earlier about the transfer, but I can update that easily. It's fine. I'm keeping the Git history and everything with associated as well, so everybody gets their credits. Is like the work is going to stay as it is. So this one I can help with.
So you do Git filter like similar to what we've done for dashboard, right? And
it's like use some sort of subtree and filtering so you can move the whole directory as it is with all the Git history.
Yeah, I think this is amazing. Like I think one of the things we've done for transfer from Kubeflow to Kubeflow dashboard to Kubeflow notebooks, we kind of add this prefix to the PRs. So let me give like an example, right? So if you go to the dashboard repo, we're already migrating some of the components there, right? And what we've done here, some of these PRs has the correct link to the original PR. So shall we do the same for SDK?
Yeah, we can try to do something similar to this one. That would be nice.
Yeah. I can ping you on the thread when Andy, I think, from Red Hat has done it, and also Milind, I think, and Matthew and Julius. So maybe they can also guide you the command they use to migrate the components. So we can use exactly the same command for SDK, right?
Perfect. Yeah. No worries. That would be perfect. Thanks.
Let me make a note here. And I think like one of the manifest. So one of the really helpful things would be to create a unit testing for us, right? Because we don't have any tests right now on SDK.
Yeah,
so we should have it, you know,
we need to develop end-to-end testing, unit testing, and that's we're working right now on internally, but we'll make it open source, like we'll make it for the
Yeah.
community, some sort of test strategy, like how are we going to test this? We have similar SDKs in the community, and we just managed to do that on end-to-end on a kind of cluster and try to use the SDK to drive the tests and see.
And I would like to maybe speak more about it in the future, not maybe on this call, because like I want to, you know, unify what testing infra we're using across Kubeflow projects. Like in the, in like what, like, for example, you're going to use PyTest, and we're going to use, you know, some similar similar patterns basically, right? So folks can easily contribute to the multiple tests without really, you know, learning new technology, right? We already have some tests in the initializer, for example, some unit tests. So maybe we can discuss it more.
It's in CMD, I guess. Oh yeah, you're right. In
It's
the package.
here.
Yeah.
I think we're using PyTest. Yeah. Good, Francisco.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This I mean, yeah, this is standard PyTest stuff. So I think this is pretty non-controversial.
Yep.
Yeah. For integration test, I think we're also doing PyTest, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's here in the initializers. So maybe I think if that works for us very well, maybe we can just, you know, reuse the same patterns and the same maybe best practices, right?
Yeah.
Peace is doing this too for what it's worth, and I believe pipelines.
Yeah, I think pipelines also using PyTest.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that tends to be pretty much standard.
Mm-hmm.
The like new thing is using rough, you know, as a linter along with UV and Pixie as another system as well. And so like some of the stuff starts to get more advanced, and there's new stuff that's coming out. It's like Rust back that's moving faster for it that we can kind of potentially explore. I do think that like, given that we're kind of starting from scratch on the SDK, like using the new shiny stuff that runs a little bit faster probably would compound nicely, but we don't have to overthink it, I think.
Yeah. I think for you to use, good.
No, I want to make another plug for the local execution. I do think that that's a good thing for us to kind of show. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree. 100% agree. I think for E2 is also like, I think we discussed this a little bit before once we do this Kubeflow SDK cap, right? Like initial idea was to have some tests on the control plane components and tests in the SDK components. So from my point of view, initially, since we're kind of storing notebooks examples inside trainer, and maybe we can redirect people from SDK to this example so they can try out. I think we still need to have some E2Es in the trainer to be exist and they're using this SDK. So we need to really think about, so we also have some controller code sitting here, right? Then we have like SDK code sitting on the other side, how we can construct those E2Es in a way that can work. Because in the cap, what kind of I propose, the project specific test, the E2E test will live in the individual folders, like Kubeflow trainer, for example, Kubeflow pipelines. But like for kind of when we have like combination of multiple components, they can live in SDK. But this is we should maybe talk about this more in the future. Yeah, because we already run some of the E2Es here as part of this. We already run some of the notebooks as part of this repo.
Yep. I think we'll have to do that. It will be different. So we can run the end-to-end testing for the trainer using Golang, and will be automated this way. And on the other thing, on the SDK, it will be like just like maybe notebooks or Python tests. That should be fine. What else did I mean to say?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, we should talk about it because like where is like examples should live, right? Like how we can make sure like we do it when we do the controller changes, it won't break the examples, right? So it's like it's tricky, right? And let's maybe follow up like once we have like the proper testing infrastructure and we can start with the unit test and then see what we can do with E2E. All right. So any other last questions? We kind of like go over time a little bit, but I know there is a blog coming in from, I think, Annie, you're working on this, right? part of
Yeah.
this.
Right. When I started working on that, so we just came up with our vision of the structure of the blog post to introduce Kubeflow Trainer V2. We would love to hear any thoughts from people who contributed to V2. So if you have any thoughts, please feel free to share on the GitHub issue.
Yeah, I think this is awesome. Like, I think what we'll do, I'm happy to help you to work on this, and I'm happy to, ask some of my maintainers and teammates to help with the blog post. Maybe what we should do, we should have like in a Google Doc where we can all collaborate, and drop some ideas and think about how we can publish in this officially.
Awesome. Yeah, well done. Thanks.
All right. Any other last questions, comments? All right, sounds great then. Let's then, I guess, follow up. I got like the most important thing right now is to have to make this release and finish this, I guess, 6 PRs, so we can finally do the release. And we're planning to do more regular releases moving forward, right? So I think we kind of planning to have like some stable releases, like maybe quarterly. We can talk about it next time. Which means like if something doesn't go to this release, we can easily do this in a few months, right? It's no problem for us. So let's follow up offline and let's make sure we cover all these important features for 2.0, 2.1, actually 2.0 release, right? And then if you have any follow-up questions, we can just sync in Slack, right? Thanks everyone. Speak to you soon. Speak to you soon. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.